Welcome to the Small Business Podcast series, where every week we're interviewing small business owners that support the small business community. This week, we have brought on a very, very special guest, something near and dear to my heart, as where I've become very much inside of biblical followings and various efforts over the last few years, and really become a believer over the course of time. And we want to bring on BJ O'Neill, who's the founder of Business Coach Mastery, and he focuses on working with seasoned Christian men and supplies them with a done for you six-figure business coaching practice that could really help them live a life that they truly want to live. BJ, welcome to the podcast.
Hey man, it's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you for having me
Thank
on.
you. Yeah, can you give us a quick introduction to what your business does and what problems you're solving for your clients?
Yeah, you bet. Well, you let in with that and with this term seasoned Christian men. Oftentimes people ask, what's that word seasoned mean? And some would say it's right in the middle or even perhaps on the back nine, if you will, of those. You have a lot of experience, but it could be business, C-suite, owning a business, selling a business, you name it. However, they have this desire to find this next calling, this next purpose, this next passion set, all about helping people, specifically others who own businesses, and help them to become profitable. So rather than reinventing the wheel, which is very hard to do, especially in today's world of speed and just the agility of software and technology and whatnot, we've solved that problem for them by giving them a complete and total toolkit to be able to go do the very thing they actually want to do so that they can earn whatever it is that they want to earn, that supplies them the resources and the financial stability, flexibility, you name it, and independence to live life however how they want to live. That's kind of the sweet spot of where we're at.
So tell me, what inspired you to dive into this business that you've created?
Yeah, so started my very first business myself 31 years ago, which is crazy to say that terms. We all feel like we're still 18 years old, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
so that kind of led into this idea about helping others in marketing and in business or whatever. We didn't call it coaching back then. Or maybe it was that. I didn't consider it that. People were just paying me to help them in different ways. So over time, that became a part of me that's like, you know what, I really enjoy making an impact and adding value and solving problems in this manner. And then I got the really cool opportunity in 2011 to become a founding partner with the John Maxwell team. At the time, we were living down in West Palm Beach, Florida. I was around John and kind of some of the people at that time, and I kind of got wind early that he was going to create a coaching program. It was not even a question. I jumped right in it. And it was at that season where this idea about creating not just impact, but what I call significant impact. And one of the ways that I was able to do that, or at least in my mind, was I could continue to coach business owners as I was and add value and consult and whatever. But by helping others do the same thing, then I felt like, I was being used in a way to be able to make impact to a lot of people that way. So that's kind of where it kind of the idea, one of the seeds, call it whatever you want, that was planted. But it was many years later to start to actually take traction and build momentum, and just to understand exactly how it would work. I won't use the word at scale, but it kind of is that. At this season, we've got close to around 80 coaches around the country. By design, we're not trying to have thousands and thousands of. We want a cool platform. I want flexibility in my own life. We teach that. That's the whole point. And so we have a level that we know that's a good solid number to where we can make a good living, and I can still have flexibility to go do things with my family, and not feel the burnout that so many guys specifically feel because they're trying to provide. And so moving into this idea to where we can help them to facilitate that purpose, earn a good living, but not have to get into the weeds to create all the tools and technology and whatnot. That's kind of, you put all this together, and that's kind of where we're at.
So you really built a system that is just kind of, as you put it, done for you to be able to go through. But I want to catch a key point that you put out there. You said you had 80 clients and that was by design. And I want the listeners to pay attention to that because it's that by design side of things is something that is very critical when you're building your business because some people have these grand visions They want to
Yep.
build this massive business, don't necessarily want the baggage or the responsibility uh, that comes with that. And so it's okay to say, we want to get to this spot. Do you have ways to guide people? And like, or let's talk a little bit about how you came to that decision of like, we only want
Yeah.
to get to this big and
Yeah.
not just make this like thousands of coaches and go crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what you would call them. What moment that there's probably an actual psychological name for it, but this moment where I realized that a platform, brand, name, all that, like I didn't care about any of that. Now I want to help people, and we have to use, just like we're doing right now, content to do that today, and often in many ways. But I no longer wanted this idea of what I used to want at a younger age, which is build a platform, travel, speak, which I don't mind doing that. We do that a little bit. But you also see the fallout sometimes of what you create. In other words, if you're not careful, and you got this big thing to solve, careful what you wish for, careful what you pray for, kind of thing. And so I've kind of been through that a little bit in a couple of different ways. And there's always a root cause. And it really starts with, and I did it for my own self. And this is exactly what I asked the question of our coaches, and certainly guys who are taking a peek at our program and our community. But what is it that you really want? You know what I mean? Like that's the, because I'll talk to them, they'll say, "Oh man, I want 15, 20 clients." I'm like, why? Like, why that number? And the reality is that they think that they want 15 or 20 clients, but they don't even know what that means to them. And so first we need to find out, well, what is it that you're looking to do? Resources are real. And I understand it's a funky thing to talk about money, and people get all wound up about, what, but we have to have resources to survive, to live, to give back. You want to make an impact in the world, you got to have resources a lot oftentimes to be able to do that. And I've had the fortunate opportunity to consult and to work with a lot of nonprofit organizations, specifically even in the faith-based community. Many of them would not uh, be around if it weren't for amazing men and women who own businesses who give back because they have profitability and meat on the bone, if you will, to be able to do that, right? So we have to have money. So oftentimes I'll say, "What is it you're looking to do?" And then they'll start talking about the financial thing, but what is it? Why? Like, why do you want $300,000 a year, $200,000 a year? What's that number? So getting to the truth, to the real cause, is where you have to start to kind of back into where I'm at today, unless God shows me some other plan that I'm not aware of, which could happen, to some degree, is
Mhm.
that I know what that number is for BJ, and I know what that looks like platform wise, size wise, for that to be manageable. To Because for me, just being a little bit vulnerable, it's about the impact that I can make. It's about my family, and it's certainly about time, which is likely to be the case for just about a lot of people, especially men. And so that's why we kind of drill down all this all the time is, and you hear it all the time, the grind, the 9 to 5, the grind, the grind, the grind. And everyone's trying to escape that grind. And you can't escape it if that's what you feel like you or want to do. Some people don't. Some people love it and they love working 60, 70 hours. Okay, great. Keep doing it, man. If that works for you. But that's not everybody's story or everyone's desire. So getting to a point to where you can determine, and this is funny that you asked that question because getting to the root cause of what people really want is actually really hard because a lot of people don't really know. And so when you start just continue to press upon them, it forces them, as I've forced myself, to get to the point, what do I really want? Well, guess what? It wasn't a lot of headaches, 500 employees, which is nothing wrong with any of those things. It works for a lot of people. And thank you, Jesus, that there's those that do that, that, provide opportunities for others to work. But that wasn't in my vision. And so that's where we have to start. What do you really want? What is it going to take to get what it is that you really want? We have a lot of guys who come to us who unfortunately haven't saved enough for retirement and 401ks, and they're having to kind of rapid save now. And so coaching is allowing them to be able to do that quicker because of the just the way that coaching works and what you can charge and what you can earn. And it's kind of I hate the word sky's the limit, but it kind of is, in terms of you get to choose how you want to, what you want to charge and how much you want to earn.
And so you've been in this coaching world for quite a few years. You talked about 2011 to now, we're 14 or almost 14 years into it as we're early into 2025. What
Sure.
has been some of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome over the course of the last 14 years?
Yeah, I'd say that one, learning the art of holding others accountable to a plan, whatever that plan may be. And remember, entrepreneurs, as they should be, they've got some edginess to him and some to them, and some calluses because life's hard. Business ownership is hard. You go through rough seasons, and it can just kind of punch you even when you think it's going well, and all of a sudden you get a left hook and you didn't see it coming. And so, what they don't realize, a lot of business owners and those that are even in the enterprise world are operational thinkers. And so, what we're trying to do is to move them over to a strategic thinker. We have to keep the lights on, we have to pay the bills, we have to do operational things. Absolutely. So, the challenge is holding them accountable. It's also a badge of honor when in meaning that when you can do that because they start to see what they've not been able to do and why guidance and strategic work is so incredibly important to hold them to a step-by-step process to get them traction. So that's one of them. Accountability, because coaching, as you know very well, it can be very ethereal. A lot of conversations from one session to the next, and 3 months down the road, you didn't really get anywhere. Why? We've been just. I have a cousin who uses the term it's just a lot of chin music. In other words, it's just a lot of talking, a lot of just humming going along, and not a lot of movement, a lot of traction. That's one of them. Or number two. Number two, or number one, two is that the fatigue of choices, technology. There's a new tool every day. Now it's the AI world, right? It's not been. It's like what, less than 2 years, or right at 2 years before at least it's being adopted the way it is today. It's been around for a long time, as we all know. But um, it's easy to get distracted. Choosing this tool, then that tool, then this tool, then that tool, and what they're all amazing. It's crazy that we can do this right now. What we're doing, you could not really do this. What, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, for sure. Not at least, not at this capacity, at least, without better equipment that was extremely expensive. And so, being dedicated to that in terms of not being fatigued on choices. And then the big one, I think this is probably the same thing probably 30 years ago as it will be 30 years from now, is discipline. Is being able to be disciplined enough to stay true to a plan, whatever that plan looks like for me and or for a client or whatever. Um, in the ups and downs, the hills and the valleys of the markets, of the GDP, of leadership, whatever. It's just all the roller coaster of it's great. It's, oh my gosh, where this is going is great. That's business 101. If that's that way for everyone, you've seen the memes. We think success is linear from here to here, when it's more like like this right here and all over the place. For those who are not watching, my hands are going all over the place, because that's what success really requires. This is a lot of unknowns that you have to walk through. Discipline affords us the opportunity to follow it until we reach the destination that we've been thinking about, praying about, hoping, working so hard for. Unfortunately, most are not disciplined. That's a life choice and skill that we all have to learn, both in personal life and in business life and so on. And so that always gets punctured, or at least it stands the chance to be punctured when things are volatile or when things are good. Because when things are good, it's like, take my foot off the gas a little bit. Again, human nature and psychosis. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the tools, the distractions, and the world that has been built to gain your attention, like that everybody's trying to distract you from everything you're working on is
Yep.
definitely one of those things that makes discipline that much harder. What would
Well,
you
we all somewhat. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no
We
problem.
all somewhat uh, um, have the fatigue of the shiny object syndrome. And if you're like me, as a by nature, I'm an ideas person. I wake up with a different idea every day. It's a great, 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 great skill, and it's also haunting because you got your list here of these are the most important things that I've declared that needs to happen this next 12 months to get my business where it needs to go. But then tomorrow, I'll wake up with this, but wait, there's more, that kind of thing. And you're like, but I didn't know about this one over here. So even our own selves, our own, distraction. I'm like, okay, it's the tyranny of the urgent versus, I can see if I were to do this and that the causality it would have for 6 months from now. And that's just the wrestling match, but that's what discipline requires, is that which one of these, though, do I believe, at least from what I know now, is going to put points on the board to move things along further.
Yeah, I was wrestling with that decision earlier today, discussing with my wife. and we're having a discussion, and it's like, I've got two things, they overlap. Which one is the priority for this year, right? It doesn't have to be forever. That's the thing, listeners. When you're setting your priorities for the year, it's for now, not
Yep.
forever. And you
Yep.
can be able to say, I'm going to be very disciplined in this season. Just like if you're going to be dieting, if you're going to do health, you're going to do
That's
work on your
exactly
business, whatever it is. Remember, it's for now, and you're going to make a
right.
small adjustment later. It's not forever.
Yep. Yeah.
Hey, real quick. Did you know that most small businesses don't actually achieve their breakthrough? And it's not because you don't care. It's all because you're trying to do it alone. That's why I created the Momentum Community, is to help you change that. I want to see you achieve the breakthrough that you've been waiting for. It's where we committed entrepreneurs come and get focused, get accountable, and finally build a business and life that you are meant for. If you want to learn more, click the link in the description below and enjoy the rest of the episode.
Well, we're not omniscient. We don't know everything, and like in my world, we're not working with 50 people in a team to where there's all this different accountability structures and whatnot. If I want to, we can't change all the time. But to your point, adjusting along the way as you go is really really important, and you should once you learn new information that I didn't know today. Now change and just because you're just it's the flavor of the month, that's different, but discipline, I think, is probably the bedrock of just about any success that's measurable. Personal weight loss, you mentioned that, sports, certainly in business, because most people, it's not even about when they go against tough, it's the distraction thing. And I see it all the time. It's not rocket science. I don't, if you and I were in sales and we both sat down and we're selling, pencils, whatever the case is, it is not rocket science. If we sat down with a list, you were more disciplined to get through that leads list of calling people every day, nonstop, hitting your numbers, regardless if people are answering or not. And I was like lethargic about it. Some days I didn't. Some days I did. I've got through. I was kind of mediocre about it. Whatever. It's you're gonna win. Like there's just no other way, and that's what life is all about. But it's hard. It's hard because we don't we get to the urgings of the things that are right in front of us that absolutely can smack discipline out the door, and now all of a sudden the day's gone by 2 3 2 months and we're not where we want to be, and we get frustrated, and this is cycle we have to break. So those are the things. The tools are going to come and go, all those things. The discipline for BJ, in my opinion, just I've lived it. I've lived a life without it, and I have to work really hard because it's not a natural gift mix that like others have. I just don't have it, so I have to fight to keep it kind of right there in front of me to keep moving forward.
Yeah, as we talk about, you talked a little bit about going from operations to strategy, and like what if you're looking out at the next 5 years in this industry for the coaches and consultants that might be listening, and the business owners that are out there, where is it going? What's the next 5 years look like in the coaching world?
One is the art of what I call becoming the hunted. Now, what I mean by that is, this is just something I feel like God kind of just. I was created this way to think this way. Always been this way. If go back to our pencil illustration, if we were really going to do that, what I would actually be doing mentally, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do to be a little bit different than Jason? That I stand out, people see it differently, they hear something different, and it just changes the narrative that they want to talk to me. That's what I'm going to do, and so that's where it starts from. Number one, prominence. The value I've learned, and you as well already know this too, just having content like a podcast today, what it's done for my business and what it's done to educate people and to help kind of build a relationship with them prior to talking to them if they're interested in coaching. So things like that are by far the more that those can learn the art of becoming the hunted, and anything that would fall underneath that, which there's a lot there. Number one. Number two is the obvious of the adoption carefully of AI upon how that can assist you. Remember, coaching oftentimes is we're nimble, meaning solo, or we got a business partner or whatever, which is great. The challenge is I'm solo and I'm nimble. And so For the guy out there who's out there, swinging for the fences by himself, what does he do? Well, he's had to do it on his own, work with someone like us, or whatever. Um, but then he's going to have to start to adapt and adopt to some tools. That and AI is just that. It's a tool, and yet done correctly, it absolutely can advance and aid those in this space. I get the question all the time: how do you produce so much content? Tools. That's what. And so the more adoption and the more, I don't understand how this. Learn. Like, just don't stop worrying about what you don't know and learn it. Don't make an excuse about it. Learn it. So AI, and who knows how it's going to look. It's crazy what it's already is now, and the advancement to it. And then the next one is going to be those who have tiers. What I mean by that is, I've got my one-on-one coaching layer. I have my group apparatus. This isn't new, by the way. You know this. But the average coach doesn't do it this way. They still are in a one-to-one relationship, probably 90% of them. And so, like in our system, we give them group coaching software to solve this actual problem. And so, as well as what I call micro coaching, somebody who can't afford, the average coach charges around 2 grand for one-on-one coaching. You're working with somebody, they don't want to afford that. What are you going to offer them as a downsell? So being prepared to have multiple offerings, so that not only one, you can help solve them where they are and whatever they need. Number one. Number two, that it's going to help you grow your business faster, because you're not one dimensional, you're multidimensional. And so that's going to be the adoption of tools and technology, the adoption of having multiple ways to solve their problems and get paid doing so. So it's not just one dimensional. Those have been around for a while. It's not like that they're brand new, but I think that those that will adopt that mindset in coaching, at least, are the ones that stand a chance to be very successful. And then what we already talked about, I don't care how you do all that, it's still holding that individual, that team, accountable for results. And that's the move, that when you can do that and you do it well, people are endeared to that as far as I'm concerned. And they want more from you. They tell their friends about you. And that's where the law of reciprocity kicks in. And all of a sudden it feels like things are just landing in your lap. And they kind of are, but it'll be because of all the investments you've been making and all these other clients and prospects that you have.
Yeah, definitely. That overnight, you're all of a sudden an overnight success, and it took all of the work that nobody saw behind the scenes to be able to get to that spot
Yep.
of going forward. It has been an absolute great conversation, BJ, thus far, and there are nuggets and gold inside of here. If you missed something, go back and listen to the elements around discipline and accountability, and how it really, some of the struggles of the different parts and pieces that BJ had talked about through here. But for now, we're going to jump into our lightning round. Are you ready?
Ready?
Okay. Simple questions, not difficult, meant to be quick hitters. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
If you could grab only one weapon or item during a zombie apocalypse, what would it be?
Oh my goodness, that's a good one. Uh, uh, XP2 space modulator.
Okay.
I don't even know what that is, but
I,
it's what I think Marvin the
that's,
Martian used in Looney Tunes. That'll tell you how old I am.
that is that's great. That I have people that will very much appreciate that one. How about a favorite quote or phrase that you think about often?
To be unclear is to be unkind, and I
Ooh,
don't want to be unkind.
yes, we were talking about that. The one of the it's hard to attribute that to one person because I have heard it from many sources.
Yeah,
So
someone asked me, "Hey, where did you get that?" I'm like, "I'll be very honest with you. I've used that for so long. I wish I could, and I should be able to give that back to whoever gave it to me, but I don't even know."
yeah, how about a book that has influenced your life the most?
Yeah, Becoming a Person of Influence, John Maxwell was the first book I read of his, 97, 98, changed my life.
Very good, very good. Biggest obstacle you have had to overcome, and one lesson you have learned from
The BJ, that's the biggest obstacle, and the how I get myself, get away with my own, success in my own way. Plans, discipline, as we already said it, learning that gift and learning that craft is by far been hard, but rewarding.
Listeners, this is the one of the things that I struggle with myself. It's trying to figure out how to crack that code of at what point did you or are you willing to look at yourself and say, I am the problem? At that point is when a transformation happens in your life, it happens in your business, and you can start making progress to go forward. The until you have that conversation with yourself and realize it, that's where it's going to be. You're going to continue to run into the same challenges over and over, and you're going to run into that insanity definition of doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So,
Yep.
BJ, how can our listeners get a hold of you if they want to learn more about the business coach mastery?
Yeah. Just go to businesscoachmastery.com. That's businesscoachmastery.com. There's some information there that they can grab and learn more about it. And they can also schedule a chat. They just want to talk about it. We can do either one or both.
Excellent, excellent. It has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much for being on today,
Oh, thanks
BJ.
for having me.
The 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 elements inside of this podcast are absolute gold for any business owner out there, whether you're in coaching, whether you're a agency, whatever part you are in or business you are in, it is gold to be listening to. And it really comes down to discipline, as he said, the accountability of holding yourself accountable and being able to say, that it's a matter of I'm the problem and how do I move forward and who can I help? Who can I get in my world to help hold me accountable? Because it works better if you're working with somebody else and you're accountable to somebody else. Because self accountability is next level. Like that's the extreme level. If you found the value inside of this podcast, leave us a comment below. And if you're interested in more podcasts, take a look at this playlist right here. They're all up there and there's some good ones. Until next time.